Hi guys, welcome to the podcast, I Need More From You. I'm your host, Dr. Kristin Oakes, and in this podcast, we're talking all things health and wellness along with life, from being a wife, a mother of 5, and a CEO, how to juggle it all while still staying sane, at least most of the time. This is real life stuff, so I want you guys to buckle up and let's thrive. No excuses. In today's episode, by the way, you guys, this is our very first podcast episode. I have a very special guest joining us today. His name is Velt. I want to give you guys an intro for him, but before I do that, this podcast, we've been talking about doing this, or I have been talking about doing this for a very long time, and it's always been next week, something else coming along, something else always getting in the way, or me putting something else always in the way of actually starting this podcast. And I was determined to finally make this happen this year. And in my mind, it was like I needed the perfect podcast space. I needed the perfect setting, the perfect topics, the perfect guests. I needed my hair to be a certain way, whatever, right? All of these things that I'm trying to create this perfect setting for an actual podcast to take place. And I'm just sabotaging what it is that I wanted to actually create and share with you guys. And so I was like, okay, enough is enough. I've got to get out of my own way. And, I just have to finally make it happen. So this is our very first episode. I'm finally going to do this. And the title's I Need More From You, because I truly believe that we all have big goals and aspirations, but we just get stuck in our ways and get in our own way of our own success. Essentially, that's what I'm trying to say. So finally making this happen. I'm super excited to launch this with you guys, but most importantly, I am super excited to introduce to you guys Velt, our very first guest. And a little backstory on him. I met him at the gym. Okay. I didn't know anything about him. I just saw him. Okay. And behind the scenes, whatever, I have a virtual regenerative medicine practice where we focus on prevention, primary care, okay? And my husband kept telling me, we need to help a patient with ALS. I've never treated a patient with ALS. I have a lot of different patients with different disabilities, but he kept telling me we need to take care of somebody and we need to try and help somebody with ALS. And so every night before bed, my husband always prays with me. And one night before bed, he was like, in his prayer, he actually said, God, bring us an ALS patient so we can make a difference in their life. And this is crazy because I don't want to get emotional, but it always gives me tears when I think about you and this story. Sorry, I got to collect myself, okay? So anyways, my husband said this prayer. Okay, the very next day in the gym, my husband meets Velt. They're chopping it up. And Velt shares his story with him that he has ALS. So this was just, God works in mysterious ways. He's so powerful. So my husband's super excited. He comes and he introduces me officially to Velt. And that's whenever I actually saw, before I even knew anything about ALS, that was the first time I actually saw his disability. Okay. So then my husband tells me, I meet him. He tells me a little bit about his story, and it was like, wow, like I'm not saying that I'm going to cure ALS, but what I want to do is to try to just make a difference in your life and really just improve the quality of life that you do have. That's my goal for you. And I want to bring awareness about ALS. What is this? What does this mean? And educate people about it. And I want you to share your story with everybody. And so I just thank you for being vulnerable, for being open and trusting in this process so that, we can try to help you and improve your quality of life. So Velt, thank you so much for joining me today. It's truly a blessing and an honor. And I want you to share your story. Like, where did this all start? How did this start?
First off, you're welcome for helping you out, and this is my first podcast ever, so it's a cool space to be in. Weird but cool. The journey, I would say, started 2016. I noticed I lost a lot of strength in my right hand as far as grip. I would deadlift. And even then, I was still strong, so I would deadlift, 400 plus pounds, and I would pick it up, but I would always notice the ball was slowly slipping out my hand. And playing football and everything, I've, had, herniated disc in my neck and stuff like that, so I just assumed it was all anatomical, and that, something up in one of my neck that's affecting my hand, keep it moving. As long as I can lift, it don't matter. And then slowly I would notice other little signs. And at that time, I didn't think anything neurological or let alone ALS. But when I would run, I would feel a sharp pain in my bicep and then underneath my shoulder blade when I sprint. And from there, it would kind of, get weaker and weaker. And then I noticed when I put my hand over my head, sometimes the shoulder would kind of have like frozen shoulder. And then I began to think I had, fast forward from like I had my son in 2017.
About how old were you in 2016?
2016, I was 30.
Okay, 30.
So
it's fairly young for an ALS.
So my son was born in 2017, and so as he was pregnant, I began to worry. All right, so I'm having a kid now, and you envision, all the things you're gonna do with your son, and I'm gonna show him this, I'm playing that. So I began to think like, okay, this is an issue. And he was born. I noticed, every father for the most part that I know of, they wanna, pick their kid up and put him in the air. And it used to depress the shit out of me because I can hold him and my arms just shake for a little bit. I could never like put him up face to face or put him straight in the air. And I was fine with that if it stopped there, but things got worse. So right around the time of COVID, 2020 came, I noticed I had a lot of atrophy in my right shoulder. And I thought I had thoracic outlet syndrome. I was convinced I had thoracic outlet syndrome. I spent a lot of time on WebMD, just searching up all sorts of symptoms and stuff, going to different physical therapists, getting every type of massage I can get, every type of TENS unit, everything I could do, MRIs, X-rays, all of it. And so in 2020, I noticed that the same things began to happen on the left side as far as in the strap area. And I went to a performance institute, and they were convinced that, okay, cool, yeah, so you have a lot of herniation in your neck. We can work on some things. Did a little protocol for some peptides and things like that. But then finally, before we pressed play, they sent me to the University of Miami hospital to see a neurologist. And something like it's just, protocol. We're going to go in, they're going to send me back and we can get started. And I went in, and the first thing the guy noticed was atrophy in my tongue.
Okay.
And that's like, can't fake that. So when he saw the atrophy, his mind was already made up. And it was like, I think you have motor neuron disease, which is basically another name for it, whatever. And I was just like, oh, okay. But here go me, I'm trying to convince the doctor, well, I got this, and I herniated my disc back in football, and, my shoulder blade, blah, blah, blah. It was like, maybe two things could be going on at once. You might have this issue in your shoulder, but it doesn't mean, whatever else I think is going on is going on. So So I went from there. I went and got I believe an EMG, where they put the needles in you and stuff like that. And even in that test, the guy was like, yeah, this looks concurrent. Even like during the test, he felt like this was concurrent with his previous findings as far as motor neuron disease. And so 2 weeks later from there, so it's about November 2021.
Okay.
I go back to the neurologist and they're confirming it. You have a motor neuron disease. So I probably spent 6 months in denial, trying to maybe get a second opinion, or just not wanting to believe it because I didn't fit the profile that most people who end up with ALS would have as far as age and stuff like that.
Right.
And then I had the previous shoulder injury and neck injury, so I was like, nah, I got to be something over there. And so I would say it went on from November 21 to at least 2023, maybe beginning 2023, about 18 months or so. It's just depression and going through all those
stages.
What they call the 5 stages of grief and stuff
right.
like that. And it wasn't easy. It's still not easy now, but I'm in the acceptance phase of everything, so I'm able to be more proactive about what it is I need to do and what I not need to do. Back then, I was, in all transparency, roll up a blunt and just be like, fuck it.
No cares.
I'm going to be in this situation, I might as well be high or something like that, so.
Right.
I think the hardest thing during that time was certain things you could do on your own. I've never asked for help for anybody. Everybody who knows me, and everybody used to say that on social media, anybody who knows me, but I would never ask nobody for shit. So when I need help with, putting on socks, that was like the first thing because I couldn't, get my digits working. So I needed help putting on socks, needed help with a lot of things. And it became hard because I never knew anybody with ALS or motor neuron disease, so there was like no, it works like this or
what to expect.
And
you didn't
then
know.
when you go online and you type it in, there's no good news. Like there's not that many breakthrough stories or recovery stories. So then I would just stop going online because it was like, what am I going to research for when everything just leads to a dead end? So I might as well be oblivious to it, or at least at that point. So not being able to do for myself was a hard adjustment, and from an ego standpoint, but then also from an emotional standpoint, just being a father, you pride the main thing is protection. And so like we would be in moments out in public and I would think like, some shit happen right now. I can do shit. Like I'm a liability, and coming from a football background, always being strong, always willing to fight at any moment.
Right.
To now realize, you get in a fight, you might die. Like, then those couple times, I'm a trainer, so there's the still trying to work, and show clients things, and even my clients would be felt just calm down, chill out. I got it, whatever. And I remember one time I was racing I did a lot of shit I shouldn't have been doing. Always have, but the personality is never going to change.
For sure.
I tried racing and my body locked up and I hit the ground face first, skinned my chin, bust that wide open, skinned my face, that slid open. And this was a year later, so this is November of 2022. And I remember my clients saying, like, for a moment I thought you was dead because you just laid on the floor.
You were just laying there.
And I couldn't really roll over because my shoulders were already out. And that was the first time, like, it really hit me. So at that point, it was like, all right, is real because, I'm facing reality of if I had failed the wrong way, now I'd have been gone, and then my kids and my family wouldn't have had me based on my own stupidity. Mm-hmm. So it was like a reality check, where, okay, you guys take this seriously, or, you could be out. Not that I was afraid of death, but I still feel a responsibility to, my family and to my kids. So
absolutely.
I would say right around beginning of 2023 is when like the depression stopped. And so since then there was, all right, let me try stuff. And tried going holistic route. I went on juice fast twice. Mm-hmm. The one in 2023, I went on that one, went for about 4 weeks. I felt good, and I felt it cleaned me out from like gut, intestines, and all those things. Mm-hmm. However, I lost a lot of weight. And
we don't need you losing any more weight.
Didn't get the weight back. Mm-hmm. And with the weight, I lost the strength. So it was like a catch-22. Mind clarity came, all the good things with fasting and juicing, but lost a lot of muscle. And obviously, if the neurons are already firing, then how do I gain it back? Fast forward to 2024, I actually did the juice fast again. I tried to be a little bit more aggressive with it and strict with it. Because the first time, I had my cheat days, my moments or whatever.
Yeah.
Because, when I went to the ALS clinic. And
where's the ALS clinic?
It's at University of Miami.
Okay.
So what led me down to going the holistic route, just, my belief in that and not really feeling any solution. I guess personality-wise, I'm always looking for a solution, not necessarily a Band-Aid. Mm-hmm. And so the medical route was just telling me to take a medicine called Radazol, and just wait. And it was
that's what I wanted to ask you. So from your experience with this, going the traditional medical route, mm-hmm. what treatment options did they give you?
Radazol.
Okay, so they said take this and
here are some associations that you can reach out to for support, some resources, grants, and nothing to physically make life better. I ain't gonna say life better because they have like resources for equipment and stuff like that, mm-hmm. but nothing to address the actual condition.
Mm-hmm. With that medication, did you ever take it? Did you ever try taking it? I actually
didn't start taking it until last year in the summer. Mm-hmm. I took it for about 4 months.
Okay.
And then I stopped taking it because I went another holistic route.
You just felt like that wasn't doing anything for you?
No.
Was there side effects?
It tastes like it made my tongue numb.
Okay.
If like when I would take it, I have to drink it really, really quick because otherwise my tongue will go completely numb. And so then I'll think, well, see, is that what's going on in my body? Like,
right.
Is it numbing things? Because it's an immunosuppressant. Mm-hmm. And so my logical brain just told me, if I'm suppressing my immune system, it doesn't really sound like that's what I'm supposed to be doing. But,
right.
I guess. And then also, by technicality, I believe I'm in the 20% of people who live past the 5 years or whatever.
Yeah, so, like you being diagnosed at 30.
My thinking was also, if I'm already slow progressing, without this, what is taking this going to do? I mean, whether or not that's logical or egotistical, not sure.
Right.
But I was comfortable with, whatever the results to be without it. Because even online, when I looked up taking it, a lot of clients who would say they would take it, a lot of patients say they would take it just because they were told to take it, but nobody was coming back like saying, oh, this does this for me, this does that.
Right.
It was kind of like I'm taking it because it's what they told me to take.
They told me to take it, but they didn't explain anything to me.
Nobody's explaining how much it benefited or how it slowed down, because based on the numbers, when I go to the clinic every 3 to 6 months, I was slow progressing anyway. So, yeah. And then currently I'm taking a treatment called Trudos. It's basically like PRP done through IV drip, so intravenous infusion. So,
Beautiful.
So, yeah, which brings me to this point now.
How often are you doing the PRP treatments?
How many times?
How often do you have to go to do those?
I've done 2 treatments so far. The first one was more impactful than the second one.
When you say impactful, like, what do you mean?
Meaning, when I did the first one, I did feel more blood flow through my legs.
Okay.
I did feel mental clarity. And I did feel some level of relief, at least, in an attempt of regeneration through my shoulder blades.
Okay.
As far as my actual rotator cuff in my hands and arms, no, but I did feel some attempt as if like the neurons are trying, but it's like you start a car and you feel like it's trying to kick in there. You know, that was a feeling. Not that it turned all the way on, but like
you feeling something.
It's trying to fire. So you know, hopefully, as I do through my treatment, something to I come on that. But
nice.
How
often do you go for that?
Every 6 weeks.
Every 6
weeks.
weeks.
Next one is March 11th.
Is that through the University of Miami?
No, this is through another regenerative
medicine practice. Okay.
Again, like through University of Miami, like they're helpful in the sense of giving information based on what they know and running tests to measure progression. But and
from a treatment perspective, it's not.
It's like they're like, okay, you're gonna die at some point, so let's just measure you until you get there, and hopefully the riders slows it down.
Okay. For those who, I don't think we've said it in the podcast yet, but ALS.
Yeah.
Can you explain, like, what is your understanding of ALS?
ALS is basically my motor neurons. The neurons in my muscles do not respond to the signal from my brain. So I can tell my arm to move, but the muscle ain't moving because there's no connection between the two.
Okay.
So it doesn't matter, how much muscle was already there. If it's not firing, sooner or later the atrophy sets in.
Because it's not moving.
Because it's not firing. And to my understanding, it's just that simple. I mean, there's more science to the equation, mitochondria, axons, all those other things, but the end result is that the neuron isn't firing. So I could be in perfect health, have no other issues, but if those voluntary muscles don't voluntarily fire, then all the lifestyle changes to not having strength fall into place. So,
right.
Yeah. There's 3 forms. You have where's the limbs, and then you have the respiratory. That's bulbar.
Okay.
Like I was diagnosed with upper motor neuron disease because it started with my upper body. And as far as the lower body, the only thing that's really not that's been affected most is my tibia, so I have a hard time lifting my toe up.
Okay.
So sometimes when I walk, like a waddle or whatever, I'll trip over my own toes. But for the most part, I still have a lot of function in my lower body. Shoulders, very limited function. If any, I would say on a percent scale, I probably lost 95% at a minimum strength in my upper body.
What about your hands?
My hands, it's weird. So I can open and close to an extent. On this hand, I can only really open that finger, the index finger, and a little bit of the thumb. But these last 3, they're not opening. They can close, however, but even their closing, it's not like I can close them and hold a heavy weight. Maybe a 15-pound kettlebell, and when I hold stuff, I have like a time period before it just kind of lets out and lets go. So, yeah, biceps, those things are gone. My triceps actually, I can push like on some the chest press machines. Like I can set up, and on like the lightest setting, I can push out.
Nice. And
I can pull. But the rotator cuffs are shot, so if anything requires the stability of keeping the humerus inside the AC joint, it's not happening.
Okay.
And that's that.
For your diagnosis of ALS, was it determined that it was a genetic cause or was it spontaneous?
Spontaneous. I did a genetic testing and that came back negative.
Okay. So,
it was spontaneous, and now it was a relief that it wasn't genetic. So
for sure, because it's like your son.
The ironic part though is that they actually have more, I believe, like trial studies or what do you call them?
The clinical trials?
Clinical trials and stuff that has had success for those that carry a genetic
The genetic
gene.
Ones, right.
So it's like, oh, man, if it was genetic, I might have some whatever. But then if that was the case, I had to be right by my son, so it's catch-22. But I'm okay with him being able to
for sure
not have to worry about it.
Yeah, that's a huge relief on your part.
Yeah.
With the clinical trials, why didn't you ever get involved in any of the clinical trials?
Most of the clinical trials, they wanted people who were within like 24 months of the onset. My onset symptoms were 2016, 2017, so I'm not really a viable candidate. Just recently, they've reached out and told me, based on my symptoms or medical records, that I'm eligible for an extended access program. I don't know the specific details, but my medical records qualify for that. So, as far as clinical trials, you're supposed to be selected. And so through the time when I was up, I'm open to it. Nobody ever reached out and said, you got selected. So maybe I wasn't as sexy of a candidate for them. So it's cool.
It's a good G. It's a good looks. Okay, so you've tried the traditional medical route before. So now you're open to a more the Western medicine way.
Yes.
To see, how you can really make an impact on your prognosis.
In my mind, I feel like there's a switch, and something has to happen for the switch to turn on, because it's not like I have a whole lot of shit going on. It's literally the neurons are dying out and don't want to fire, so I feel like it's something that can get that switch to come on, and then I'll be back online, as they would say.
Yeah.
So.
And you're still in the gym. You're still training. Like, what
I'm
are
still
you?
Training.
You were a trainer. You've been an athlete your life.
I've been an athlete my whole life, and I've been a trainer since 2012. So going on 12 years. I've been blessed to have clients that stuck around even after my diagnosis. Although I'm limited in my demonstration. It just requires me to, be more cerebral with it and articulate what I need more. And they're responsive to it. It does limit because they've seen me before and they're familiar with me. It's comfortable, but it does make it more difficult to acquire new clients.
Right.
Not too many people are excited to get the trainer who can't really do the stuff or at least demonstrate the stuff. So that's been a buzzkill. But all in all, I've been blessed to be able to sustain my clientele.
For sure. Absolutely. Well, I want to thank you for trusting this process and, being willing to go through this with me and, to see how we can help you.
When I met you guys, because your husband,
he's wild.
Yeah, he's wild, but it's admirable. It's very admirable. Because my son first started jiu-jitsu here. One time he was just, like the other kid's dad was doing jiu-jitsu. He was like, why you don't do jiu-jitsu like that, Dad? And it just like broke my heart because it was just like, I can't. It was like, why? It was back before he like
Understood.
He visually seen, you know, like what's going on, but he didn't understand. He thought like, okay, maybe Daddy arm just start working again or whatever. And so your husband was like, bro, why I don't see you doing anything? What's going on? Why you don't get out here? And I was like, yeah, I can't. And I was like, well, here's why. And like, I was like, what? Like, wait, what? No, where's my wife? Where's my wife? Like, you know,
disbelief.
Yeah. So, and then it went from there. And it went from there. And it was helpful because a lot of people, like my disease, ALS affects 1 in 300,000 people. Okay. So that's literally 0.00033%. So I've never met nobody with ALS, and most people who I meet, I'm the first person they meet. So I get a lot of different reactions and stuff like that. And your husband's reaction was the first time I seen someone excited, like, what? Okay, cool, all right. Like look, this is like...
He's a problem solver.
Okay, all right. You know, usually everybody kind of has like a deer in the headlights. So what does that mean? You know, and I'll explain it to them, and they'll kind of understand. But most people don't have someone who they relate to. Like if you used to have cancer, somebody's even seen cancer on TV. They know
someone in the family or something.
You know, it's so much information with mine. It's just like, so you're paralyzed but not paralyzed. That's all they can really like put it to. Right. And so it was I guess fun. I don't know if that's the right word. Exciting. Exciting would probably be the best word to meet a stranger, let them know I have ALS, and they have outside just prayer and hope. Like, okay, yeah, I got some solutions, some tangible solutions, or at least perceived solutions that we can attempt. And I was like, okay, cool. Finally, you know, something besides, you know, take the pharmaceutical drugs, which from day one, even when they told me, I was just like, all right, well.
What other options do I got?
Yeah, like.
Not for you.
I know nothing, in my mind, nothing pharmaceutical is going to cure me. So that was 4 years ago, so we're here now.
Right. Well, we started with your blood work. We did some comprehensive labs on you. So I want to grab those. I want to go through them with you. Okay. And then we can talk about, you know, what protocol we're going to do.
Okay, cool.
Sound cool? Okay. So we started with a comprehensive analysis of your labs to see what your baseline is for now. Okay. So starting with your testicular function panel, this is looking at your testosterone production. So right off the bat, you can see where your testosterone levels are. I definitely want to optimize these, okay? Most men feel best whenever their testosterone is at least an 800, if not up to 1200. Okay, so definitely something that I want to start with you. There were different studies in mice, not human trials, but it was showing how increased testosterone production has helped with the neuromuscular recovery and helping with those axon and dendrites of the neurons. So I think it's important for males to have optimized testosterone regardless. So I definitely think this could enhance, you know, overall quality of life, giving you more energy, helping you with your muscle development, with your strength, those sort of things. Okay. Next we have here, so this is looking at your...
what's the free testosterone?
So when we look at free testosterone, you have a total testosterone, and then there's testosterone that's bound that you can't use, and then you have free testosterone that's readily available for your tissues. Okay. That's what we want. We want the testosterone that we can actually utilize, okay? So both of those are important whenever we're looking at the overall picture. You have a high percentage of testosterone that's free, which is amazing.
So I mean, if you increase the other number, then...
You'll have more that's readily available. Okay. So then we're looking at your thyroid health here. Okay, so thyroid-wise, your TSH, we want this to be less than 2. You're at 0.86. This looks beautiful. Free T3, I like it to be a 3+. This is your active metabolism, so your active thyroid hormone. We have T4, which has to be converted into T3, which is what your body actually uses. So some of the supplements I'm going to put you on is just going to help optimize your thyroid health. So we're going to be addressing this, okay? My goal is to get this higher than a 3. When I'm looking at your blood cell counts, your hemoglobin and hematocrit's low. So that's showing me anemia. Protein?
Yeah.
Protein.
I take iron pills.
And we've got to make sure you're taking the right iron pills and at the right time of the day.
What's the best time?
On an empty stomach, and it has to be away from things like magnesium, manganese, you want to, zinc, all of those things can interfere with the absorption. And if you take it with vitamin C, that's going to help enhance the absorption. So
I was taking it with vitamin D.
Okay, so we just want to make sure we're timing them correctly and it's the right form so that you can absorb it. Okay, so we can work on this. When I look at your platelets, those look great. Everything else, your white blood cells.
Hematocrit, same thing.
Yes, hemoglobin and hematocrit, same thing.
Hematocrit. Okay.
Yes, so whenever these are low, that's a form of anemia. Okay, so when I look at everything else here, your platelets looked great, your white blood cell counts looked great. Nothing else was concerning me, but I do want to make sure we're getting you on the right iron. Okay, that'll be part of your supplements that you're going to start taking. This is your comprehensive metabolic panel, so looking at your metabolic health, your kidney, liver function, electrolytes. Your fasting glucose was 74, so better than what you had the last time you did labs here. So this looks good here. Your kidney function looks good. Your electrolytes look beautiful. Your liver enzymes are elevated. So this is something also that I saw when I was going through, different studies and stuff, how it's common for ALS patients to have elevated liver enzymes. So part of your protocol, I want to focus on your liver health. Glutathione is great for... it's a powerhouse of an antioxidant, but it's also really beneficial for helping repair your liver cells, helping you with your detoxification processes. So that's something that I definitely want to start doing with you. Okay, next we had your lipid panel. So this is looking at your cholesterol levels. Nothing in here was concerning to me. An LDL of 120, I'm not even concerned about that. Okay, everything else looks beautiful. When we look at your hemoglobin A1C, so this is an average blood sugar reading over the previous 3 months. Okay. 5.6, one more point, you're at prediabetes range. So metabolically, we want to improve your metabolic health. How are we going to do that? Diet and reducing overall inflammation. Okay. Didn't you tell me before you did keto for a little bit, or kind of were like...
No,
you did the juice cleanse.
Did the juice cleanse. I try to avoid sugar as much as possible.
Perfect. Okay. Processed foods though, carbs, like... refined carbs, breads, pastas, rice, things like that.
Rice is probably a big part of my diet.
Okay.
Pasta, not as much, just because
you don't eat a lot of pasta.
Yeah, I like it, but it's just not,
okay.
A weekly thing. Breads, not so much. Only time I actually eat the bread is when I eat some sort of pastry, which is a cheat.
Okay. So metabolically, we're going to work on your hemoglobin A1C. I want this to be less than a 5.1. Okay.
That would be better, but I guess not.
So we're going to work on this. All right. Your DHEA, so 165, I like this to be in the upper half of the range. This is one of your sex hormones, precursors. So we're going to work on this as we do exogenous TRT. I anticipate for this DHEA to also increase. Okay, that was that one. Cortisol levels looked great here. Cortisol is supposed to be higher in the morning and then gradually decline throughout the day, so I'm not concerned with this at all. Your prolactin levels also look beautiful. Same with your estradiol. Yes, men do need estrogen, but it just has to be in the right ratio. So we've got a baseline of where you're at here. I anticipate this to increase with the exogenous TRT, but we just want to keep them in balance. Okay, prostate looks beautiful. Happy with this. Insulin-like growth factor. So this is a marker that I like to look at to essentially, as we age, our growth hormone levels start to decline. And a lot of the peptides, some of them, they're growth hormone secretagogues. So I like to see where our baseline is and see how much room we have if we do utilize any of those peptides. So it's always good to get a marker of where we're at here. Okay. Iodine 49.1. I definitely want to optimize your iodine. That's one of the supplements I want you to start taking. Not only is iodine great for anti-cancer, for cystic tissue, it's great for your thyroid health, it's great for your prostate health, it's great for your pancreas. So we definitely want to start incorporating iodine into your supplements. That's something we're going to be doing. Okay. Vitamin D is 31. This is too low. I want your vitamin D to be 80 to 100. We need vitamin D for so many different processes in our body. This is our sunshine vitamin, essentially. but I want to make sure that we're getting you on the right vitamin D supplementation. You want vitamin D3 with K2. We take it with K2 so that when we absorb that calcium, we actually put it into our bones where we need it and not into the arterial walls. All right?
So the ones I'm taking aren't working.
We want to get you on the right ones. Okay. Then back here, so CRP, this is looking at overall inflammation in the body. I like it less than 1. You're close, but we're going to do better. Okay. Homocysteine, I like this to be less than a 7. So I'm going to also put you on a supplement that homocysteine, it's an amino acid. And as this circulates through our vessels, it can cause them to clamp down. And over time, if we let this continue to elevate, it can contribute to high blood pressure. So we want to make sure that you have the right supplements that are helping you break it down so you can excrete it. All right. So that's something that we're going to incorporate. And vitamin B12, this looks beautiful. I'm actually happy with this number here. Right. Even though you have the vitamin B12 deficiency is common for anemia, but your B12 looks beautiful. All right. Magnesium 2.0, I do want to get you on some magnesium supplementation. Magnesium is so beneficial for our brain health, for our bone health, for our muscles and our nerve fibers, so we want to be taking magnesium. All right, insulin is showing me low. So when I'm thinking about insulin, I'm thinking about your pancreatic health. Okay, I said I want to start the iodine to help supplement with this. What I don't want is for insulin to be elevated because that's showing me signs of insulin resistance, but this is low. So I'm like, well, maybe your pancreas isn't responding as well in secreting the insulin that you need to stabilize your blood sugar levels. Okay, so I want to just keep an eye on this one here. All right, ferritin. So if our ferritin levels are really elevated, this can be another marker for inflammation in our bodies. So we're going to be targeting inflammation with the different protocols, the supplements and things that you're going to be taking to combat that overall inflammation. Gotcha. Okay. Sex hormone binding globulin, I'm happy with this number. You can think of this as a bus that transports hormones throughout your body. Okay. If this number gets too high, that bus is too sticky and those hormones aren't being released to your tissues. Okay. So I'm happy with this. We're going to let this ride, but we want to continue to monitor this since we are going to be doing the exogenous hormones. Okay. Okay. We went through those and that's the last page. Perfect. Okay. So all in all, you know, there's nothing on here that is crazy to me. Okay. You're actually doing very well. There's just a couple of things on here that I want to tweak and really optimize. So plan for you. I want to optimize your micronutrient levels. That's number 1. Okay. Getting you on the right supplements, taking them at the right time for what your body needs. Okay. That's number 1. I want to start the exogenous TRT to help get you within optimized ranges so that you will feel much better. Okay. I want to start a peptide for you that's known for its anti-inflammatory effects. It's great for tissue repair, for regeneration, and I really think that's going to help us with repairing those neurons. Okay. So I definitely want to start with that peptide. We're going to cycle it and see how you do. So every 30 days, we'll reevaluate if we need to tweak anything with the dosages or, you know, if we want to continue it for another month, but essentially we're going to cycle it. Okay. Another thing that I want to do is the glutathione. The glutathione, a super powerful, you know, antioxidant. And I want to focus on your liver health, helping you with those detox pathways, helping you with the oxidative stress. So I want to definitely start with the glutathione supplementation. And then another thing, NAD plus is also really beneficial for your mitochondrial health. Mitochondria is the powerhouse of all of our cells. It's really important for our energy production, for our DNA repair. So we want to make sure that we're taking care of that. And so that's one of the reasons why I want to start the NAD plus. And all of these things, you know, in combination with each other, they have, you know, amazing anti-inflammatory effects. And I really think will help to restore you at a cellular level to help optimize your outcomes.
Okay.
Okay. Are you afraid of needles?
No.
Okay, good.
No. My girl will be doing all the needling.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, and just gotta be set a schedule.
Yes, we have to be consistent. and we have to have a schedule that you can compliance, right? Something that's easy for you to do and stay on track with.
She helps me get dressed in the morning, so all the morning protocols should be in morning and night. If there's anything in the middle of the day,
we're not going to be doing any injections in the middle of the day, but
okay.
Your iron, I will probably change that to like 2 hours after breakfast or 2 hours after lunch so that it's on an empty stomach.
Okay.
Because most likely you'll be taking supplements in the morning and at bedtime, and I don't want them to interfere with any of the absorption.
Gotcha.
Okay. But that's a pill.
Okay. So perfect.
So we'll just iron it out of when you're taking which supplement and when you'll be doing each of the injections. Lay it out for you.
And then because I have to get the surgery on my throat.
Yes.
So once I get the date, we'll cut off 2 weeks prior to, and
absolutely.
Then I'll get the information on exactly when I can get back to it.
Yes.
What was my? So how soon will we start?
So next steps, I'm going to get everything ordered for you, and then either they'll deliver it at directly to your home, or they'll deliver it to me and I bring it up here to you so that you can have it. And I can talk to you like this is when you're taking each one of these things. That'll probably be better. Okay. Right? I can write on them when you're taking them, all that sort of stuff.
And then how long before we want to run these again?
So we're going to, depending on how long we have to stop for your surgery.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to give you at least 3 months on a protocol, like being consistent. Okay. 3 months consistently on the protocol, and I want to rerun.
Okay.
And more importantly, it's checking in with you. How are you feeling? You know, remember how you said turn on that car, that little, like how are you feeling whenever you're taking these? Because, you know, labs are one thing, but your symptomology and how you're feeling is another.
And probably the most scary part of it, the diet. You guys want to take rice from me.
Diet, yes. So I want you to focus on whole foods. Preferably animal-based. Okay. This is protein. This is grass-fed, grass-finished meats. This is organic fruit, raw dairy products.
I don't eat dairy.
Okay, so we don't have to worry about dairy. That's easy. One less thing. Meat and fruit, so you can thrive.
Okay.
If you can commit, give yourself at least 30 days. Get past the inflammation. Reset your gut. Okay? How much are you weighing right now?
169, 170.
Okay, so let me do some math here. What's a healthy weight? Where do you like to be?
215.
Woo. Okay.
Well, now 205. If I ever got back to 205, I'd be happy. No lower than 190.
Okay, so ideally, I'd love for you to hit a protein goal of 180 grams of protein.
180, okay.
150 minimum.
150
minimum. But if you can hit 180, that would be amazing.
So I gotta start doing some planning.
We gotta plan. Gotta plan the meals. We want to make sure that you're getting sufficient protein intake in, because that is going to help with the muscle.
And so if the rice is added to my information. Okay,
so a lot of rice, you have to think, is this organic rice? If it's not organic rice,
I do like wild rice a lot.
You know, and then those carbs, those are refined carbs, then you're already having these increases in your glucose levels. Now, is that because you're not secreting sufficient insulin from your pancreas, or is it because you're developing, you know, insulin resistance? Either way,
So what do you feel about wild black rice?
I feel like it's a no for 30 days.
No, for 30 days. Okay. All right. Okay. So all my carbs come from the fruit.
Your carbs are going to come from your fruit.
Okay. That's what it is.
We're going to try it. Do it for 30 days and then see how you feel. I'm going to send you a food guide. It's going to have foods to eat, foods to avoid, like red, yellow, green. It's going to show you different protein content for the different sources of protein. It'll tell you different fiber.
Do you have any brands that you would recommend when it comes to getting some of this meat and fruit?
So fruit, organic, everything organic. Make sure you're washing everything with, you know, an organic white vinegar or with baking soda. You want to make sure that if you go to Whole Foods, different grocery stores, They could be putting a wax product even on the organic stuff. So everything needs to be cleaned. Plus, everybody's touching on everything at the grocery store. So wash everything before you eat it. Gotcha. For your meat, you could do, Wild Fork has great prices for grass-fed, grass-finished beef. Okay. Look for grass-fed, grass-finished wherever you go. Okay. And obviously, you know, there's different farmers markets and things like that you can get meat products, quality meat products from.
I shop at Milam's a lot.
Yes, so they have meat products there.
I'll check out Wild Fork.
Okay. Wild Fork, they just have they have better pricing. So it's more affordable, right? We want to do something that's affordable, that's sustainable to get you those results, okay? Gotcha. So
if I get the food cooked, the prep, and it's already available, it makes it a lot easier.
Ready to rock. Crock pot is going to be the best friend.
If you leave it up to me.
Listen, on the weekends, that's when you need to cook everything, have it prepped and ready to rock. But you can throw food in a crock pot. When you get home, it's ready to eat. Okay. And you can make multiple meals out of it. Throw some chicken in there, roast, whatever. Okay? So we need to focus on that. I see you in the gym, lifting. You got to continue to push yourself.
No potatoes.
You know? We got to do it. Right. Baby steps. Work in progress. But you are super brave, and you're super strong. And you're going to continue to fight. And I want to support you through it and, you know, try to optimize your quality of life.
The key word is optimization.
Optimization. All right. For sure. Take you to another level.
Yes.
Okay?
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Of course.
I'm glad I met you.
I'm excited for you, and I'm just thankful for you trusting an alternative process.
I've always known an alternative process is what's going to fix me, so this is the
power of prayer and regenerative medicine. Let's do it.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yes. Right. And then I want you guys to come to church with me, too.
Okay.
We can talk about that later, but that's another thing. All right, Velt. Well, this was an amazing first podcast. I'll just say that.
That's my first podcast.
You crushed it.
Also, so.
You're such a great model. I appreciate you.
Model.
Yes.
Next time, hopefully I have my voice back.
That's all right. That's what a mic's for. Yeah. You crushed it. I'm super thankful for you and for joining me and for just shedding light on ALS and, you know, being an inspiration to so many others that when you get on Google, when you get on YouTube and you're scrolling and you just feel hopeless and, you know, you sharing your story and being a positive role model for so many out there, and you're just continuing to fight and, you know, look for answers and solutions. Right?
I was listening to what you said earlier when you were saying, like, you wanted to start a podcast, but you'll find every reason not to. Mm-hmm. And so I was encouraged to kind of tell my story, but I was looking for every reason not to also.
Right.
So you got me out my shell.
Let's do it. I mean, you crushed it, and I think that, you know, we all have something that we want to share, and we all have a different gift that we can give. And you have to sometimes let the walls down and feel vulnerable. But if we don't try, you know, we're never going to get better, or we're never going to take that step. So
I agree.
I'm proud of you for sharing. Crushed it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, you guys. Well, subscribe if you enjoyed today's podcast. I'm super thankful for this opportunity, and onwards and upwards. Yes. I need more from you. Oh, wait. One more thing. The podcast is named I Need More From You. Okay? So,
I got to live up to it.
If there's one thing that you need to do differently in your life to take that next step, or that you want to accomplish, what would it be? I
would say when I start the protocol, it's just discipline and consistency.
Yeah.
But if I apply discipline and consistency to everything, then everything gets better. So, yeah, I mean, you said one thing, I gave you two.
That's all right.
We'll go with discipline.
Being more disciplined.
Because if you are disciplined, then you'll be consistent. Kind of go hands in hand.
There you go. Yeah. Let's make it happen. All right. Thank you guys so much for listening today. Subscribe so that you can hear more. This podcast does not establish a patient-provider relationship, nor is it medical advice. If you'd like to see me as a patient, please contact my team so you can thrive.